It was a sunny afternoon in downtown Baltimore. The streets buzzed with life as people hurried to work, shopped, or simply strolled to enjoy the fresh air. Among them was 28-year-old Marcus Bennett, a humble graphic designer known for his easygoing nature and infectious smile. He had just picked up a sandwich from his favorite deli and was heading back to his small studio on Fulton Street when a patrol car slowly pulled up beside him. "Hey, you there! Stop right where you are!" a voice barked harshly through the car's loudspeaker. Startled, Marcus froze mid-step, the sandwich bag dangling from his hand. The officer in the passenger seat, a bulky middle-aged man with a sharp scowl, opened the door and stepped out. His badge gleamed under the midday sun, but the expression on his face was far from welcoming. Marcus looked around, confused. "Is there a problem, officer?" he asked politely, keeping his tone calm. The officer, whose name tag read Officer Daniels, crossed his arms and eyed Marcus suspiciously. "We got a report about a robbery nearby," Daniels said curtly. "You match the description?" Marcus blinked in disbelief. "A robbery? I just came from the deli down the street. You can check with the owner." Daniels cut him off. "Hands out of your pockets, now." Marcus complied, lifting his hands slowly. People passing by began to glance in their direction, sensing tension. Marcus's heart raced as he tried to stay composed. He had heard too many stories about encounters like this, ending badly. The other officer, a younger man with nervous energy, remained by the car, seemingly hesitant, but saying nothing. Daniels, on the other hand, seemed intent on asserting his authority. "You got any weapons on you?" Daniels demanded. "No, sir," Marcus replied firmly. "Just my keys, wallet, and this sandwich." He gestured to the bag in his hand. Daniels sneered. "Funny guy, huh? We'll see about that. Spread your legs and put your hands on the hood of the car." Marcus hesitated for a split second, humiliation washing over him. He knew he had done nothing wrong, but resistance could escalate things. Swallowing his pride, he did as he was told. By now, a small crowd had begun to form, some taking out their phones to record the scene. Whispers floated through the air. "What's he being arrested for? Looks like another case of harassment. This is messed up." As Daniels patted him down roughly, Marcus gritted his teeth, biting back the frustration bubbling inside. He knew the drill. Stay calm, comply, and hope for the best. Yet, deep down, a question burned. How many more times would innocent black men have to endure this kind of treatment? The deli owner, a stout man named Mr. Alvarez, had noticed the commotion from his storefront and rushed outside. "Hey, officer, that man didn't rob anyone," he called out, waving his arms. "He was just here buying a sandwich." Daniels shot him an annoyed glare but didn't let up. "Mind your business," he snapped. Marcus's jaw tightened as he realized the truth. This wasn't about justice. It was about power and prejudice. But fate had a way of turning the tide, and what would unfold next would shock everyone watching. Marcus stood by the police car, hands pressed firmly against the hot metal hood. The humiliation of being treated like a criminal gnawed at him, but he kept his composure. He knew better than to escalate the situation. Survival often meant silence in moments like this. The crowd around them grew thicker. More onlookers had gathered, many holding up their phones to record what was unfolding. Whispers filled the humid afternoon air, some filled with outrage, others tinged with disbelief. "This ain't right, man," one voice murmured. "He didn't do anything." "I know that guy," another said. "He's a graphic designer, not some thug." Marcus heard the voices but kept his focus straight ahead. He wasn't here to entertain assumptions or accusations. All he wanted was to make it home in peace. Unfortunately, Officer Daniels had other plans. "You think you're special, huh?" Daniels sneered, circling Marcus like a predator eyeing wounded prey. "Think you can mouth off because people are watching?" "I didn't mouth off, sir," Marcus said calmly, turning his head slightly. "I just told you. I didn't do anything wrong." Daniel's face darkened, a spark of fury lighting in his eyes. "Smart mouth," he spat. "I hate punks who don't know their place." The younger officer shifted uncomfortably near the patrol car. "Daniels, maybe we should—" Daniels silenced him with a glare. "Stay out of this," he barked. Before Marcus could process what was happening, Daniels lunged forward, landing a hard punch straight to his jaw. The force of the blow knocked Marcus sideways, his body slamming against the side of the police car. The crowd gasped in collective shock. "Hey, that's assault!" someone shouted angrily. Phones captured every angle, disbelief etched on the faces of those watching. Mr. Alvarez, the deli owner, stepped forward with righteous indignation. "You can't do that," he yelled. "That's illegal. He did nothing wrong." Marcus blinked through the pain, tasting blood on his lip. His head spun from the unexpected hit, but he stayed upright, refusing to give Daniels the satisfaction of seeing him crumble. The air grew thick with tension as people moved closer, some stepping onto the street despite the flashing patrol car lights. "Call internal affairs," one woman yelled. "This is abuse." Daniels glared at the crowd, his face flushed with rage. "Back off," he barked. "This is official police business." But no one was backing off. The weight of accountability pressed down on Daniels as dozens of phones remained locked on him, their owners determined to expose the injustice. Marcus wiped his bleeding lip and spoke quietly but firmly, his voice steady despite the pain. "You messed up, officer," he said, looking Daniels straight in the eye. "Everyone saw what you did." Daniels opened his mouth to retaliate, but the damage was already done. The younger officer, pale and visibly shaken, finally spoke up. "Daniels, we need to stop this," he said nervously. "We're going to be in serious trouble." Daniels hesitated, realizing the gravity of his actions. Yet his pride kept him defiant, even as the tide clearly turned against him. Marcus, still standing tall despite the physical assault, embodied a quiet dignity that outshined the brute force Daniels had displayed. But this was far from over. What came next would shock not only the gathered crowd, but the entire precinct as karma delivered a swift and undeniable reckoning. The energy in the crowd had shifted completely. What began as silent disbelief had turned into collective outrage. People weren't just witnesses anymore, they were advocates for justice. The air was thick with defiance and the demand for accountability. Officer Daniels stood rigid, his jaw clenched tightly as he faced the swarm of angry onlookers. Sweat beaded on his forehead, though whether it was from guilt or stubborn pride, no one could tell. His knuckles were still red from the punch he'd thrown at Marcus. "You think you can get away with that?" Mr. Alvarez, the deli owner, shouted angrily. "We all saw what you did. Every phone here caught it." Daniels tried to maintain his tough facade, but the weight of the evidence pressed against him like a ton of bricks. A dozen phones pointed at him, capturing the entire incident, a brutal act of police misconduct for the world to see. The younger officer shifted nervously. "Daniels," he whispered, "we need to get out of here before this gets worse. You assaulted that guy." Marcus, still standing tall despite the bruises forming on his face, wiped the blood from his lip. His voice was calm, but carried the weight of truth. "You thought no one would care, thought no one would stand up. Well, guess what? They care." Just then, the distant wail of sirens pierced the tense atmosphere. Reinforcements were coming, but this time not to back up Daniels. Someone in the crowd had called internal affairs. "You really messed up, Daniels," muttered the younger officer, stepping back from his superior, as if distancing himself from a sinking ship. The sirens grew louder until two black and white sedans pulled up alongside the scene. From them emerged two serious-looking officers wearing the unmistakable navy jackets of the Internal Affairs Division. They walked with purpose toward Daniels, their expressions cold and unreadable. One of them, a seasoned investigator named Officer Carter, spoke sharply. "Officer Daniels, step away from the suspect and place your hands where I can see them." Daniels' bravado faltered. "This is a mistake," he stammered. "I was just maintaining order." "Save it," Carter said flatly. "We've got enough video evidence here to keep you off the force for a long time, maybe even put you behind bars." The crowd erupted into applause and cheers as justice finally seemed within reach. Mr. Alvarez nodded approvingly. "About time they took care of guys like him," he muttered. Daniel's face turned pale as he reluctantly obeyed, placing his hands behind his back. The cold metal of the handcuffs clicked into place, sealing his fate. The investigator looked at Marcus with a nod of respect. "Sir, are you okay? We'll need your statement." Marcus took a deep breath, his voice steady despite the pain. "I'll be fine," he said. "But people like him. They shouldn't be wearing badges." The message hung heavy in the air, a hard truth that resonated with everyone present. As Daniels was led toward the waiting car, Marcus watched with a mix of relief and quiet satisfaction. Karma had done its work. Justice had begun to unfold in a way no one, not even Daniels, could stop. Later that week, news of the incident spread across social media like wildfire. The videos captured by the bystanders went viral, amassing millions of views within days. Headlines called it "The Reckoning of Officer Daniels," highlighting Marcus's calm resilience in the face of cruelty. The department issued a public apology, and Daniels faced not only termination, but also criminal charges for assault and misconduct. And Marcus? He became a symbol of dignity and strength, proof that standing tall in the face of injustice could spark real change. Karma had spoken, loud and clear. Daniel's downfall was proof that what goes around truly comes around. And Marcus? He walked away with his head held high, knowing the world had witnessed the truth.
Thanks for watching, y'all. See you in the next video. Take care.